The only thing that makes somebody buy something is if they're emotionally connected to it. That's it. There's no other way to make somebody buy anything.
Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by Samrina Qureshy out of Ontario, Canada. Before breaking into real estate, Samrina gained extensive sales experience in her previous careers, and throughout our conversation, she explains how she has been able to sell the homes that others have tried and failed. For her, it all comes down to allowing potential buyers to form an emotional connection with the property. Now, before we get into the day's featured interview, make sure you follow and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and the list goes on. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to the day's featured interview with Samrina Qureshy. I hope you enjoy it. Just to get started out a little bit, could you tell me a little bit about yourself, who you are and where you're at?
Well, I'm a real estate broker, actually. And I started real estate about 6 years ago, you can say. And before that, I was in sales and stuff. But I'm working with Remax Real Estate Center. And I specialize in homes that don't sell.
Right. And where are you actually?
I'm in Toronto, or you can say Milton, Ontario, like GTA. But yeah.
Right. So yeah, when you reached out and everything, it's quite the extensive customer service and PR background. So what made you want to get into real estate?
My mom. It's a weird story. Because I've done so much in sales, and I worked with developing some businesses as well. So I've opened up stores, expanded businesses from 4 stores to 9 stores and things like that. And I also became a regional manager, a regional trainer in UK for a company. And then I came back to Canada. I grew up here. And then I had gone back to study law in England, came back here to Canada, and when I came here, I was working with Luxottica, which is they own Ray-Ban, the sunglass store, the Sunglass Hut, Pearl Vision, Lens Crafters. They're the ones. So worked with them for a little while, and then my dad was like, I think you've pretty much sold everything your whole life, like glasses, clothes. He's like, why do you sell houses? And I was like, I don't know if I'm made for homes. I said, I don't know if I'm made for big products. And he said, oh, okay. But then my uncle told me the same thing. My mom told me the same thing. And then my mom kind of forced it on me to do my first exam. And my uncle forced it on me to do my first exam. And I signed up, and then the rest was history. I just
hit the ground running. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because I also job shadowed for a while before I did it. So while I was doing my exams, I was job shadowing somebody. So I learned a lot through that process too.
Right. So yeah, I'd love to talk to you about this, selling the hard to sell homes. I think that scares a lot of people when they see these homes that have been, they've on the, an expired listing for, or they've been sitting on the MLS for months and months and years for that. But what makes you so good at selling these homes?
Well, there's different strategies to sell a house, right? Every house has a buyer. I think we all understand that. We all know that, right? We've seen homes that are completely run down. We've seen homes that are complete trash. People will still buy them. So we've seen homes that are super, super expensive. And then we sit and think, oh my God, how can somebody afford such an expensive house? So, every home has a buyer. It's just how you strategize and sell it. I have some, stories are the best way to connect people. So I can tell you a story. There was this lady who had the house on the market for 5 months, and she couldn't, her agent couldn't sell it. And I think she wasn't getting many feedbacks from the agent. She didn't even have enough showings. Weeks went by, 2 weeks went by, she had 1 showing. And so I guess marketing also makes a difference. And then also some agents don't have access to different boards. So I have access to TREB, I have access to Oakville, Milton, Burlington, Hamilton, so all of the different boards around the GTA. So when you start marketing in that way, then you have Facebook, then you have Instagram, then you have Pinterest. So how you market a home also makes a difference. Then some other ways of doing a house and selling it is obviously staging it. Some people don't believe in staging. I heavily believe in staging because I think that a lot of people, 80% of buyers are going to look through pictures and they're like, no, 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 no. And then they wouldn't like it because some agents will take pictures with cell phones. But when you actually stage a home, they can personalize it to themselves and they can, yes, I want to pay this much to live in this, to have that feeling. So you have to create that emotional connection between the home and the buyer for them to be able to be like, yes, this is the home I want to live in. I don't think a lot of sellers don't recognize that initially. And then eventually when they'll be sitting on the market. And some homes that are staged already don't sell because they're either overpriced or something else is wrong with them. Maybe they're a bit on a busy street. So then sometimes you have to highlight the flaws. And, so I do a lot of different things. I do like points of interest notes around the home to kind of guide them to what to look at and what not to look at. All right. And I can give you an example of that, a really good one. There was a house that I was selling. Actually, it was on the market for 3 months. Wasn't selling. He called me. He's like, Samrina, help. And I was like, okay. He listed it for $839. And it wasn't moving. He was getting offers at like $810, $815. And then he called me up. He's like, can you do something about this? I said, yes, of course. So it was pretty much still vacant. We only staged the master bedroom and the main floor. But one of the rooms was a hexagon because it was like the tower. You know how homes have that tower in the corner?
Right.
So it had that hexagon room and people walk in and be like, I don't know what to do with this. Where am I going to put the bed? Like here on the window, like how do I work with that? So I did not stage that room, but what I did do was I put a little note on the wall next to the light switch. It just said something along the lines of little princesses love living in towers. Or something like that. And then I wrote, we don't discriminate. Boys can use this as a dragon's den. I kind of enhanced it so people realize like the high ceiling, the tower shape, and actually, you know what? And then the person who bought it, he used it for his daughter's room.
I have 2 children and my daughter would love it as a princess castle. And my son would also love it, to use as the knight. He would.
Exactly. So I think some people, it all depends on how you market a house, to be honest.
Right.
So those are easy ways to sell.
And working with those sellers when things aren't selling, how do you, kind of convince them like, look, we need to stage this home. We need to do a few things to enhance it. Because sometimes people are a little hesitant to do that. He
was very hesitant. I sold his house for $842. He's not complaining anymore. Before he was getting $810, $815. Now he's gotten $20,000-$30,000 over by spending a total of $2,300. That's it. That's all he spent. Staging and light bulbs. That's it. Nothing else. And so I guess sometimes some people take time to realize that this worked, right? For some people, you have to actually sit down and do a presentation and show them your previous examples. And I have enough examples to kind of tell my seller why this would sell. And then, once one person tells the other person and the other person finds out and they're like, okay, maybe we can try her. So it does happen. Like that's how I get my business. However, to get them to be convinced on it, you have to present and show them because some people only understand with visuals. They have to see it to believe it, So.
Yeah. And I talk to a lot of people also when they say, just breaking down the math of everything. You said it cost $2,300 to stage this house and do the light bulbs?
Yeah. That's all it cost him, but he was sitting on the market for 3 months. He wasted 3 months of mortgage amount.
Right, exactly. Right. So when you put that up against the mortgage payment, it should take care of that issue right away.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many examples of this. Like 5 months of that lady sitting on the market, she couldn't even close her home. The other homes she bought, I helped her. I gave her ideas, and she's like, "Oh my God, I didn't know I could do this." And then we did that, and I even offered. Her house was initially listed for $484. She kept dropping it down to $474, and every like 1,000, 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and she kept dropping it down. And then when she asked me how much are you going to list it at, I said $484. She's like, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "No." And then I sold it for $480. Yeah. And I sold it in 27 days. Like I had 2 offers on it, and it was like, and it closed in 2 weeks too.
Awesome.
And the closing was super fast. So it all depends. And, you can even offer some sellers have an issue with increasing commission, right? So this is a very important thing that I think sellers should know. Sometimes giving more gets you more, because if you're giving up more towards to an agent who's investing time and investing services, bringing in things to your home to enhance it, make it better, you're actually going to end up getting more, right? That's how everything works. Even whenever you invest in yourself, you educate yourself to make yourself better, you're going to get you're going to get the fruit of that. So the same thing works with homes. And I sometimes encourage sellers to give more commission to the corporate brokerage. So when you're listing a home, instead of just doing a 2.5, I would encourage them, hey, why don't you give them an incentive? Why don't you put, hey, if my home sells in 10 days, whoever buys in the next 10 days, that agent's going to get $3,000 more. Right? So encourage them. And, they will make an effort to bring their buyers in, and they will make an effort to make that extra. So.
Right. I really like that idea because it is so true. You get what you pay for. And especially, in today's world, everything is so instant, and we have all these little, I can sell your, these apps and all that kind of stuff of sell your home, yourself with this, but everybody knows there's not that, you don't have that experience with an agent that knows the market, that knows how to get your house sold, and you end up paying for it in the long run.
Yeah, that's true. I have an example of a home that I put on the market. It was just the layout was, no one liked it. Like, nobody wanted to buy this home. It went on the market 9 times before I got it, over a period of 2 years. So it was rented and then back on the market, then rented, back on the market. Eventually I got it. So I told the guy, I looked at his house, I said, your layout is crap. He was like, are you here to sell my house? And I'm like, well, I'm being honest. I'm telling you what the flaw of your home is. And he said, oh, okay. So now how do we fix this? I'm like, you pay more commission. That's really the only way to do it. And he said, okay, how about this? He was not getting anything. It was a detached home, double garage, 4-bedroom and everything. He wasn't getting more than 970. And all of his neighbors were selling for over $1 million. So he said, if you sell my house for $1 million, Samrina, right? I said, I'll give you more commission. I'm like, I don't want more commission. Give it to the corporate brokerage. Right? And he's okay. So we listed it and I put it up for 2.75 commission for the other agent. It sold in 2 days for $1 million. And it was like, he was like, I didn't even think, and he was getting 970. So how much more did this guy end up paying? $4,000 more for the commission, but he got 30,000 in price.
Right. What's it now on the flip side of that? Do you ever have to, say, look, you're way overpriced and we got to come down on that? So what's that conversation like?
So when I have to bring somebody down in price, my best way to do it is, firstly, I've never had to do that. I'll tell you, I've never had to do that because I've always listed at the right price. And if someone argues with me, no, I want this, it's like, how are you going to get it? Your house is worth this much. This is the market value. This is how much homes are selling for. Then even with that, I've never had to bring anyone down. It's usually when I have the conversation, when I'm about to list, I tell them, be a little realistic. Right. I've had somebody who's asked me, hey, can you list my house for 1.7 when it was 1.4? And I'm like, how? Where am I going to bring this $300,000 worth of stuff in your home that is going to not that much? He's like, but this. And I'm like, well, then sell it after 2 years.
Right.
Sit on it. Don't sell it right now because you're not going to be able to get that price.
Right.
So I've never really had to have that conversation in all honesty, but you have to educate your seller. If you don't educate your seller about how the market is and what their home is worth and what's selling around the area, what's good about the area, what's bad about the area, obviously it makes an effect on the price. Right. So they just have to understand that, I think.
Yeah. So it really, your past experience in customer service and in sales, it all has really gone into being able to get these people to understand your process and how you're going to get those homes sold.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what I've done before, I think the one thing I've really learned from all of the years of sales experience I've had, the only thing that makes somebody buy something is if they're emotionally connected to it. That's it. There's no other way to make somebody buy anything. I can go into any store and it could be a shirt. If I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. If I love it, I'll pay $40, $50 for it. I might even pay $100. You know what I mean? So it's something that you connect to it, and you, once you've connected to that thing, you buy it, right? Yeah. So it all depends. You have to make the home feel like that buyer's home, and that's how they will buy it. That's what I've learned over the years.
Right. So how have you? Important. Yeah, and so with this last year, because of how things have changed so much, how have you adapted that? How have you adapted your approach to still get people to get that emotional attachment to a home when maybe they can't walk through it, or they can't, physically touch things and really immerse themselves in the home?
So there's a lot of great services out there, like virtual tours and, the 3D the walkthrough tours. So I use those. I have my guys go into the house and do like some people actually hire their own. I think this company is called Matterport.
Mm-hmm.
You can get your own camera and you can do the thing. But I just get the guys to do it. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. They go and do it. They take the pictures. So I always make sure that I hire a photographer or a proper video guy to go and do it. Right. I also hold open houses, virtual open houses. So I will sit in the house, I'll walk through the home, even if I have to stay live on Facebook or Zoom, people can pre-register for open houses, and we can walk them through homes. While we're in the house, they can ask us questions, they can ask us, open this door, can you check what's behind there? Like, they can do all of those things. So we do that as well. And then once they know the house works, they can come in for one showing. Sometimes before COVID, people used to come for one, second, third, fourth showings to make sure that the house they want to be in. But now these are the options that we have, like the 3D tours and, live videos and things like that. So I do all of those things.
Well, and one of the things I really like about, the virtual showings and even these live tours is that you can rein in those, those getting distracted moments and really kind of keep people focused on on what they're doing. So I think that's one of those benefits of this virtual kind of world that we're in a little bit. You don't get stuck on the, on the little things.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But also when you say little things, you mean within the home, right? Like
or just even, like you might be in the middle of a showing and all of a sudden, another person walks in and there's so many little things that can distract from that showing that maybe pull somebody out of that emotional experience.
Yeah, that's true. However, I cover a lot of the emotional experience through staging. Because the distraction of the emotional experience, emotional connection. Because I think the purpose of staging a home is to make something. Okay, so I had this one client. I just bought her a house a few days ago. So every time she walked into a home, she would be like, I don't think I can fit my sofa here because this is made for a sectional. And I would be like, no, not really. So I had to envision the space with the right furniture. So if you have your sectional right in the middle of your condo and it's blocking, it's like a wall, it's it's blocking the entire space. She had envisioning issues. So she could envision the space. So for her, the house had to be staged for her to envision where she could put stuff.
Yeah. So
it was harder because to explain to her, and then, we actually ended up moving some furniture in some homes to show her, you can do this, and that was the way she ended up buying a house. So sometimes to connect somebody emotionally about how they can use the space to their benefit, I think staging is great.
Right. No, I think it's becoming more and more popular among people. I think a lot of people were hesitant towards it, but I'm hearing more and more people that are, getting on board with doing it. And
sometimes some stagers will do just accessory staging, right? So for example, if I have a house that has no color, right? I have just gray sofa. It's for my use. I don't need like paintings and decorations. I just want my sofa and my TV, and that's it. And some homes, like 1-bedroom suites that are owned by guys,
mm-hmm.
you know what it's like.
Right. I don't need a whole lot.
Exactly. Guys don't need a whole lot. And they don't understand why there's a picture of a cat on the wall. Or things like that. So for homes like those, accessory staging works. A woman will walk in and she'll be able to envision it as her personal space. So I think it works. Sometimes just accessories also make a huge difference.
Right. Before we wrap up, what's the market been like where you're at?
Hot, mad hot. But I think it's starting to slow down a little bit now because it started off really busy, and crazy busy, and we were not getting homes. There were biddings, and every time we put an offer, I was losing. I think I lost like 6 offers before I finally bought her a house. but it was just because the market was so crazy, and people were willing to pay so much. And I think it was because sometimes what happens is buyers get scared that they're not going to be able to get a home, so they end up just putting more. And they just end up buying for more. And then when the sellers start to realize, hey, the next door sold for 8, when they know their worth is not 8, they put their house on the market. And now all of a sudden we have this boom of listings that have come up, and now they're sitting. Right. So now we're not getting the prices. So it's not like the prices have dropped. It's just the appreciation, the crazy biddings have started to slow down. So the prices are still going to grow. On average, Toronto should grow 5 to 7% every year. It should grow that much. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me this morning.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
I really want to thank Samrina for taking the time to share her story with us. Now, once again, if you think you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or a tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.